So, you've exhausted your family for photos and stories, and now it's time to take a look at what is out there just waiting for you to discover. Most of you might have seen the ads for Ancestry.com on the TV or heard them over the radio, but we're going to go over how to set up a free account, set up a free family tree, and even do a search within their free databases that are available to everyone, all getting ready to do some serious family story gathering. Well, maybe not that serious, but you might surprise yourself at just how addictive it really is. You know, I mentioned how a cousin of mine that I had never met before had pictures from my grandmother's sister of my own grandmother when she was young. I had never seen those photos, and I literally sat there and teared up as I zoomed in and looked at my grandma's young face, and I was amazed at how much my mom really looked just like her mother, especially around her eyes. I don't even think my mom had ever saw these pictures. She would have just loved it. It was through Ancestry where I was contacted, all because I had set up a tree and my cousin found me through it. You see, people are posting photos of their loved ones on Ancestry all the time. How many photos do you have that include your relatives? So you might have a relative that has photos that you didn't even know existed. But this tree is also a way for you to track progress as you work through your own gathering of family information. Remember, we aren't going to call it research, right? It's nice to have a place to attach the photos as well as documents that you're going to accumulate. And as you're going to quickly see, there's a lot of sharing of information on Ancestry. As a user of Ancestry.com since 2004, I've had some time to get familiar with it, and I have to say that it is my go-to program. I use it to hold my family tree. It's where I first tested my DNA in 2011. It's where I located the photos of my grandmother as a young woman, and it's where I've made more discoveries than I can even begin to share. I've even printed off more than 25 death certificates for my Indian ancestors. It would have cost me around $10 each at the very least. And I know, it sounds a bit creepy to be printing off death certificates, but those death certificates are a wonderful place to get links back to the previous generation. All sorts of information is on them. But the little known secret is that anyone can use this site for free to host their family tree as well as browse several free databases, like hundreds of free databases. Of course, Ancestry is in the business of making money as well, so they would love for you to subscribe as a monthly or annual member. But until you're ready to make that plunge, I would heartily suggest that you test the waters with just starting a family tree. Just get going. There's no time like the present, and again, you won't ever regret it. If you're not ready to commit to a subscription just yet, then get a little closer because I want to share a secret with you. You can always go to almost any local library, and most likely, they're going to have online access to Ancestry.com. Yep, you heard me right. You can go to the library, do all your research, and then send it via email to yourself where you can save it either to your genealogy folder and then upload a copy possibly to your Ancestry tree or wherever you locate your tree at, or both. And you can do all of it for free. Gosh, I love free and I love my local libraries. It's been a lifelong thing for me. My kids think I'm obsessed a little bit with libraries. They think it's a little odd, but I think I'm really smart for taking advantage of something so useful. Okay, so some of you already might have a subscription to Ancestry. Bear with me for a few minutes. I'm going to walk through setting up a free online Ancestry tree. Sorry if I keep repeating the free part of this, but there is definitely a difference between the trial user account, which lasts for 2 weeks, and the one that just allows you to add a tree and search the free databases. First of all, you're going to need to go to Ancestry.com and sign up for a free user account. Ancestry would really love for you to sign up for a free trial, which means you're entering your credit card information. I'll give you a link that takes you to a listing of the free databases available on Ancestry, and this is also the jumping off point where you can get to the sign-in screen for a free user account. It is search www.ancestry.com/search/group/free-index-econ, which is really long. So that's why I'm going to make sure that I have a handout with that link included in it. So we're going to go over. Next thing is to sign in. I'm going to click at that at the top right hand side of the screen. See that not a member yet area? Go ahead and click on the sign up today, and you're going to get to a place to set up your name, your username, and password without having to enter a credit card. So you'll go ahead and enter your first name, last name, email. It's pretty obvious here. And then go ahead and hit continue, and that will take you on. Right now, let's take a look at a test account I've set up so that you can see what it might look like if you were to set up your own family tree without the subscription. But just to make it clear, this tree is what I would call a gathering tree. So if you don't have a subscription, your options for using it for searching purposes narrows down to the free databases that they have. I'll talk a bit more on how to get access to their databases in just a couple of minutes. I'll let you decide if you're ready to use their free trial, but if you do, I would suggest that you make sure you have a block of time to be able to have just a bit of fun and plan on really concentrating on accumulating as much as you can while you have the free trial offer. If you decide you'd like to keep up the momentum, you can always upgrade to a monthly or annual subscription. But right now, let's add a family tree to get you going. Click on Add Family, and then here, create a new tree. It's really just that simple. I've set up a little tester tree to show you the beginnings of what your tree is going to look like. And I think it's important to note that you can keep your tree private or make it public. My tree is public, but it only shows information. Let's see, I'll get over here to it. It only shows information to the public for any deceased family members. So anyone that's still living shows up as private when you're looking around at other public trees. Just some housekeeping things to remember. After you have set up your own tree, you can change the privacy settings at any time. We can get to the settings page by clicking on your family tree's name up here in the upper left hand corner and choose Tree Settings. And then click on Privacy Settings up here in the middle, top of the page, where you can then either change to either public or down here to private. Right now this is set at private. And remember, this can change at any time. So I have one more thing to give you a heads up about. You're going to receive emails from Ancestry, but you do have an option to control the amount of emails by heading over to your account settings. Up here in this upper right, click on your username and hit Email Preferences. And then you're going to get to a screen where you can make some choices. And most of these will be checked when you see them, and you can either uncheck them or you can go ahead and keep them and just update your preferences. So back to setting up that tree. Let's click on Trees up here in this top menu, Create and Manage Trees, and then create a new tree where you're going to begin by adding yourself. Click on Add a New Person. And then you're going to add your first and middle name, your last name, and then your gender. And because you're starting out with yourself, obviously this generation is going to be living. When you're entering dates, you can add them in any format you choose, but I prefer to enter the date, 08 and August 2017. Okay, so and the reason I prefer that is because it leaves no question of what date you're referring to. If you do the 09, 01, 2017, that could be either January 9th or it could be September 1st. So this way there's absolutely no question as to what date you're talking about. So that's kind of a tip for you to use so that down the road you know exactly what date you really were using. Okay, and birthplace. Let's just say you start out typing in the name. That's going to be the city or your township or maybe just a county. We could start with, instead of Angola, we could start with Steuben County, and it happens to be in Indiana. So we could go ahead and click on that and it'll finish typing it in for you. And then you would hit continue. And congratulations, you have your very first person entered on your very first tree. Okay, I'm going to slip back over to my little tester tree, Jones family tree, and show you around just a little bit. There's two ways to view your tree. There is this pedigree, which is the way this is set up. It starts over here at the left, and each generation, there's your parents, and then each one of their parents shows up. And this is Samantha's father and mother. Or you also have a family view, which puts them in this, starting with yourself again in the beginning. And you can kind of move this around and you can see how, it kind of populates through here. The family view will show siblings along with the family members, so it gets a little bit more crowded. I tend to, when I'm really doing some work, I tend to use the pedigree view. You can also print. You can see here that we have our tree starting out with the first, there's a second generation, and here's the third. This is all that's been entered in here. As it kind of fills out to the right, then it will add more pages. And this is kind of a nice way to print things out and be able to take them to the library with you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close out of that. I am going to go ahead and add father onto my grandmother. And his name was Reuben Klaus. He's a male, and yes, he's deceased. He was born in, 05, September of 1867 in Morrow County, Ohio, which happens to pop right up there. Go ahead and accept that. And he died on the 1st of November in 1939. Okay, and I'll go ahead and accept that. Died in DeKalb. All right, and right here it is, DeKalb County, Indiana. Go ahead and save that. Go ahead and enter as much information as you have on this person, and it may be only their name at this point. That's okay, because you can start to do searching, and that's where you have this tree available so that you can start to add this information to it. So it's always just add what you can that you can confirm, or that pretty well, that that's definitely the information, and then you'll go from there.